This lesson is on validating a form using JavaScript instead of PHP, as we've done in the past. So let's take a look at the form. It says, enter your name and age for a secret message. All right, I'm game. Put in my name, Steve, and I'll put in my real age. Let's try that. Submit. Ooh, that hurts. You are over the hill. Let's go back. Let's try putting in a lie. 22. Submit the information. Well, good. There's still time to switch careers. Now, since this is a demonstration on validating the form, let's take out everything and click the Submit button. You must enter a first name. You must enter your age. Alrighty. Put my name in there. You must enter your age. Say I put in a couple of letters instead of numbers. Age must be a number. I can hit the little reset key to get back. Let's go look at the code. Now, you see that we have the JavaScript defined up at top again with the functions, but I want to go down and see what triggers these functions first. So I'm going to go down to the body, and I see that I have a form tag where I am calling a PHP program that's doing some work. But let's go check it out. Let's go down here again. Notice again I've got name and ID on both of the tags. I do this for age as well. Age is an ID and the name for age as well. Go down to the Submit button. Again, I have an on-click here. Now, what's different about this on-click compared to the one we had last time is I've got the word return here and a space and validate form. This is important because this validate form is going to return either true or false. If it returns true, it will allow the Submit button to take effect and it'll go to the action program on the form tag. But if what's returned from validate form is false, it will disable the submitting and it won't submit the form. This is good because we're trying to validate the form and we don't want to submit the form if it doesn't pass validation. So let's go look at the validate form function defined up in the heading area. So here it is, validate form, set up a variable. Remember, variables do not have the $sign. I could do this more formally and put the VAR in front of it. Generally speaking, you can leave it off. It's considered more correct to put it on, and there are some browsers that are picky about this. So put the VAR in front of it as a rule, and also put a semicolon at the end of your statements, very much like you do with PHP. All right, here's our friend, get element by ID. Also pay attention, see how ID is with a capital I and a lowercase d? That's not natural. Usually when we abbreviate ID, we do a capital I and a capital D, but it will not work if you do that. All of this is case sensitive. Got a capital E there, capital B, and a capital I, and everything else is lowercase, or it will not work. It also will not work if it's just hanging out there by itself. It has to be a part of the document object to be able to know to get the ID. Now these IDs have to be unique on the page. No other element can be called first name or it won't work. Now this part of it, again, this gets a pointer to the actual element on the page. In this case, it's an input tag, input where type equals text. But if I want to not just have a pointer to the tag and I want to see what the user entered, I put dot value at the end of it. So now first name should be the value that was entered by the user. Well, I want to check to see if it's empty. And the way we do that in JavaScript land is we don't have an empty function. So we look at the first name to equal the word null. Don't put null in quotes. It's just null by itself. The or symbol, it's the same or symbol we used in PHP, or equals, and this is an empty string. It either could be 2 single ticks or 2 double quotes. Either one will work. If we get that, I put that into this error message. Now remember, this plus equals is like a dot equals in PHP. It concatenates that string into whatever was already in error message. We had a program earlier in this class where we saw exactly this kind of code, but it had a $ error message instead of the JavaScript. Now we're going to get the age. Here it is, get element by ID, get the age, get what the user entered. put it in the variable. Likewise, we want to see if it's empty. Must enter age. Now I have an else condition here because I also want to check and see if it's a number. Well, JavaScript doesn't have an isNumeric function the same way PHP does, but it does have isNaN, and that stands for is not a number. And you see the strange capitalization, capital N, lower a, capital N. You got to do it that way exactly or it will not work. And it's a bit strange asking the negative, but that's the way they set it up. So that's what we have to do. So we say, is age not a number? And if it's true that it's not a number, then we print out the error message that it must be a number. Actually, in this case, we store that message into this variable and we'll display it later. Now, here is a cool thing about JavaScript. Instead of having alerts come up or message boxes, this sort of thing, we can place our error right on the window. And you saw that. And here's how we do it with JavaScript. We can do this, by the way, without having to go hit the server again. We don't have to submit the form. We have it happen dynamically. This is the dynamic HTML you may have heard of. This is some of it right now. So get the element by ID, message div. You may recall that that's an empty division that I set up at the bottom of the page. There's nothing in it when you first open the page. So I get a handle on the div. Now, remember, this doesn't have .value on it. I'm not getting anything that the user put in. I'm just getting a pointer to the division itself. A division, in fact, any HTML tag really, has a property called inner HTML. And that's whatever comes between the beginning and the ending tag, in this case between the div and the end div. And I'm going to set that to be error message. And that's all these things with the breaks and the error messages I saw. So I'm setting the HTML of that div to be that, what we've been building up in the program. Now, if we didn't have any errors, it's still going to be empty. So equal equals empty. So if it is empty, I return true. Remember, true will allow us to submit the form. Let's go all the way down here again. Take a quick look. This return here, validate form, will return true, and that will let the submit go and submit that program. Otherwise, we do have an error and we return false, and we won't submit that. But what we will see is in our message div, we'll see some information because error message will have stuff in it. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw those error messages. So this isn't too bad. There are some little quirks between JavaScript and PHP, but a lot of the coding is very similar. On one hand, that can make things very difficult. It's very easy to confuse your plus signs and dots between the two and get errors that are hard to find because you're thinking PHP and it's thinking JavaScript. So we'll go through that. I'll do a little debugging exercise with you just before the lesson on the assignment itself.